We'll begin today's practice on our backs. So go ahead, lay down comfortably, maybe with the knees up or legs extended, hands resting on the belly or the heart, or just by your side. So take a few moments to get yourself comfortable here as we ease into our practice. As we begin, we're going to let the weight of the day just roll off the shoulders. We're going to follow our inhale and our exhale here. So begin to soften the eyes and take a nice long inhale through the nose, feeling that belly rise, breathing into that diaphragm, and take a nice long exhale through the nose. I'm going to be entering this practice with the intention to relax the mind and reset the nervous system. So give yourself this time to completely release and let go of anything that's holding you back or anything that has a weight on you. So go ahead, take a full body scan. Bring your awareness to the very top of your head. So maybe visualizing an ice cube at the top of the head. And it's going to be slowly melting. As it slowly melts, just follow your awareness all the way through the body. Starting at the crown of the head, going to the eyebrows. Noticing if they're knitted together. If they are, unknit the eyebrows. Relax the eyes. If you're clenching the jaw, unclench the jaw. Notice if there's any tension in the throat or the shoulders. Release that tension. Let the shoulders fall away from the ears and soften in the belly. Any stress we're holding on to there, let go with a nice big exhale. Allow the hips, the knees, and the feet to fall away from each other. And just stay with that inhale and stay with that exhale. Completely relax into your mat. Now slowly maybe begin to bring some movement into the knees. I'm going to go ahead and bring the right knee in towards the chest and bring it into a supine twist. Cross that right knee over to the left side, shoulder blades are on the mat. Breathe into that belly still. And bring it back into center. Gonna bring that left knee in, so you're gonna switch supine twist on the other side. And slowly bring it back into the center. Take that full body stretch. And bring the knees in towards the chest here, slowly rocking up and down until you gain momentum to land onto your seat. Extend the legs straight out in front of you here. And just take a quick forward fold. Upper body is going to be heavy, so really focusing on releasing muscle tension in this practice. So upper body is heavy, head and neck are heavy. Just open up those hamstrings and slowly release. Going to extend the hands behind us, fingertips facing the back of the room into this rack pose. So keep the arms straight, elbows locked, and bring them as far behind you as you can to feel that stretch in that pectoral minor, and just breathe. And slowly release. We're going to go ahead into a nice comfortable cross-legged seated position. Go ahead, inhale, roll the shoulder blades up by the ears. Exhale, melt them away. Inhale, shoulders up by the ears and melt them down and away. This time bring the arms up, nice big inhale, and willow over to the right side. Side body stretch here. Inhale back up, willow over to the left. Really reach those fingertips, stretch that side body. And bring it back into the center. Relax those arms down. Inhale, pick them up, twist to the right, left arm on top of that right knee, look over that right shoulder. Inhale, lengthens the spine. Exhale, deepens the twist. Good. Inhale, back up and switch to the other side. Rinse out that spine. Inhale back in towards the center. Exhale, take a fold towards the center. Relax the head and the neck. Slowly bring yourself back up into sitting. We're going to go ahead, stretch the neck. Bring the right ear to the right shoulder, right hand on the left side of the head, and extend that left arm far away. So you're drawing a long line from that left ear to that left shoulder, pulling them away from each other. Maybe bring the head in, or the face in towards the armpit, bring the chin towards the chest for a different stretch in the neck. And we'll release completely, roll the head from one shoulder to the other, and switch to the other side. Release all that tension that we store in the traps and in the neck. Really use that exhale to release that tension. But if you want to change the expression a little bit, you can find some movement. Go ahead. Or you can choose stillness. We release this side, rock from one shoulder to the other, bring the chin in towards the chest and stretch the back of the neck. Both hands go behind the head. Pull down a little bit here. And go ahead, release slowly. Bring those legs behind you into a saddle pose. Toes touch, knees are out wide. If you cannot quite sit onto your heels, sit onto a pillow or a book. Go onto the tips of your toes. And we're going to go into eagle. So the right arm is going to go underneath the left arm, wrap around the left arm, maybe bind with the wrist or the thumb. If you can't do this, you can hold onto your shoulders. Bring those elbows up high and bring those elbows down low. And again, bring them up high and then low at your own pace, getting that stretch. From here, we're going to go ahead into some cats and cows with this eagle. As you exhale, tuck the tailbone under, around the spine. Inhale, arc the back, open up the chest. Just going to take a few of these. Just find your own movement, connect it to your breath. And go ahead, release. Go up off those heels. And we're going to switch sides. Back down to your saddle. Eagle, left arm's under this time. Take your movement up, bring those elbows up high, and bring the elbows down low, just opening up the traps and the shoulders. And go ahead into the cat. As you exhale, inhale for the cow. Find that mobility in that spine. And go ahead and release. Inhale up off those heels. Take a camel pose. So you're going to bring the hands to the low back and drop the head and shoulders. Go ahead, slowly release. And bring yourself at your own pace into this tabletop. Find some movement here. Roll through the shoulders, rock the hips. Bring the hands further ahead. Maybe drop down to the seal pose, open up the hips and the spine. Look over one shoulder. Look over the other shoulder, dropping the hips. And we'll bring it back to this tabletop. Curl the toes under. Slowly making your way into this downward dog. So heels are down, hips are up high. Press the chest in towards the knees, relax the head and relax the neck. So play around with your own movement. I'm going to take some rolls here in my downward dog just to warm up my spine and my arms and my legs. But go ahead, take any inventory, any natural movement here, warming up in your downward dog pose. From here, you can go onto the very tips of your toes, Drop both heels over to the right, so you're stretching that side body. If you're doing this, go ahead and inhale back up, switch to the left side. Inhale back into the center, drop those heels as low as you can, melt the chest in towards the knees. Nice big exhale there, don't forget that breath. We're gonna send that right heel up high, three-legged dog, and step it through between those hands for this high lunge. We're gonna lower down that left knee. Inhale those arms up, and exhale, just roll it back into this half run split for a moment and move it back forward to your low lunge. So you're gonna go back and forth between these two, just a fine movement, and connect it to our breath before we settle into our poses. So here, we'll go ahead and find some more length in this low lunge, this dragon pose. So if you need to, place a blanket or something underneath that left knee for support. So you really want to have the hips hinged forward, melting them down into the ground. You're not holding yourself up with your legs, but you're actually relaxing them. Focus on that breath and that opening in your hip flexor and maybe your hamstring. Go ahead, drop the right hand down to the floor to a book, willow over towards the right with that left hand, take a slight back bend. Keep the hips low here. And go ahead and release. We're gonna pull it all the way back into our half front split. So that right leg is gonna be nice and extended, hand down to the floor, hands down to a book. Drop the head towards that shin. Nice big opening into that right leg, that right hamstring. Option to find more depth in your pose, going towards a full split, maybe have a full split. So find your expression for your pose and find stillness. And here we're going to go ahead and slowly transition out of this side, soften into that right knee for that low lunge. We're going to swivel that left knee, so keep the right knee pointing forward. That left shin is going to be parallel to the back of your mat. Keep the hips hinged down, and then drop those arms down to the floor, onto those forearms, or maybe take an extended arm here. So whatever depth you can lower yourself to. So you really feel this opening in a lot of areas of the hips. So especially in the hips, we need to breathe. These are generally really tight areas, and it can be quite intense to find stillness in a pose like this. So good, slowly press up out of this pose, swivel back into that low lunge, curl the left toes under, lift up that knee, walk yourself back into a downward dog pose. Pedal out through the feet, find some movement to reset. And we'll go ahead with that left heel up high, stepping it through to our high lunge. Lowering down that right knee, pick up those arms, and row it back to the half front split. Inhale back forward, drop those hips. And again, a few of these rowing. Follow that breath. Inhale and exhale. And we're going to go ahead into the low lunge into our dragon pose. Again, if you need a cushion for the knees, set up that right knee. And hinge those hips forward. Don't be afraid to let them go. Find the depth in this pose. Almost out of this side. Find some patience. And you can release that left hand down, willow that right arm over, maybe take a slight back bend, really deepening stretch into that psoas. And we can release. Cage that left foot and extend that leg as you sit the hips back, half front split here. Squaring up the hips, making sure that right hip is forward and left hip is back. Melt the chest down towards that knee. So take any expression here on this side, remembering that it's about how the pose feels. It's not so much how it looks. So if you feel a really nice long opening in that hamstring, at whatever variation that you're in, that's all that matters, and that's what we're breathing into. So a lot of our yoga practice is going to be about awareness and bringing our mind into our own bodies. So make this practice work for you. Find the feeling that you're looking for and then rest into it. Knowing that there's undeniable benefit here. We'll go ahead and get out of our half front split, soft bend into that left knee, and we're going to go into that fragment pose on this side. So keep that left leg right where it is, but we're going to swivel that right knee so the shin is perpendicular to our left foot, more or less. And then we're going to drop those forearms down. So this is our second time in this pose. We know it's opening up about 5 different areas of the hips, or at least it feels that way. And we're not in it for very long. So just try to sit and stay with this benefit. And then here, go ahead, slowly transition out of your fragment pose, making your way into downward dog. So in this downward dog, find your own transitional movement or stillness. You can choose to take a child's pose. I'm going to take a upward dog just to flesh out those hip flexors. Just find your own movement, listening to your body and what you need here. But when you're ready, meet into a downward dog. And that right heel's going to go up high in that inhale. Find the length there. We're going to take some fire hydrants. So bring the knee in towards the nose. Draw a circle with that knee. So it's just to find a range of motion in that hip flexor. So really exaggerate this movement. So when you've done about 3, bring that right foot through to high lunge and extend that right leg so that both legs are straight for pyramid pose. Your hands can touch the floor, or maybe they're on the shin or a block or something beside you to support yourself. But once you've found your pose, go ahead and melt the forehead down towards the shin, chest towards the knee. We're going to go ahead, drop that left hand down and take a twist. So this is going to be kind of an awkward twist. We're going to go ahead and switch. Drop that right hand down. Left arm's going to open up. Find that stability. Nice rinse into that spine. And go ahead, cage that right foot again. Soft bend into that knee. Inhale, pick it up for a crescent lunge. Hands at heart center. And then twist by placing the left elbow on top of that right knee. Hands at heart center, so that top hand is pressing into the bottom hand. This is quite a balanced pose, actually. So we're balancing and we're detoxing. We can go ahead and release and open up to a warrior 2. So the left foot's going to pivot at 45 as that right knee tracks forward here. Interlace the fingers behind the back, squeeze the shoulder blades together, and come into this humble warrior with a bind. You're rinsing out the shoulders, head and neck are heavy. Go ahead, nice and strong, pull yourself back up, extend both legs, point both toes in the same direction. So we're just going to take a forward fold here. Head and neck are heavy. Inhale up to halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Relax the head and just find some movement. So I'm gonna be walking my hands to one foot and then the other. Just exploring my pose first and in a dynamic way before we find more stability in the pose. So again, inhale to halfway lift. We're gonna take a twist again. I love doing twists, really good for the spine and just detoxing. And go ahead, switch. Right hand's down, left arm is up. And back into the center. I'm gonna put us off into that left knee for this surfer's lunge. As low as you can drop those hips. You need to go onto the toes of that foot that you're balancing on. So we're just gonna transition between them fairly quickly. Again, just finding that movement, and then we're gonna rest into the pose. So go ahead here, find stability. And it's really a trick to find passiveness in a pose like this. To be able to relax the muscles while also balancing and holding ourselves in a very intense and deep stretch. So I have a bind here around my shin for my shoulders. If you'd like to explore that, see if that helps your pose. If it doesn't help your pose, find your expression. So we're already done with that side. We're gonna go ahead to the other side. Release and relax those hips. And just checking with the body, how it feels in this pose, where your breath is at, and where your thoughts have wandered to at this point in your practice. And it's just a check-in, seeing if we need to reroute or readjust. So we're already going to transition out of that pose back into this wide-legged forward fold. Maybe bind with both ankles as you pull yourself in closer towards the center. And relax. Good, inhale up, halfway lift again. Exhale, fold, relax everything, and slowly rise up for that Tadasana. Pivot both toes towards the front and transition yourself back into a downward dog. Whatever kind of transitional movement you'd like to take here. Left heel's up high when you're ready. Again, drawing those circles with the knees. So knee goes in towards the nose. Open up the hip out to the side. As big as you can, draw that circle. So 2 more times. Releasing and finding that movement. All the energy stored up in the hips. Bring it into that high lunge. Into that pyramid pose. Extending your legs and finding your position here. Lots of long lines in this pose. So go ahead into that twist. Right hand's down, left arm opens up. Drawing the navel in to help with the twist. Using that T-spine. And go ahead and switch. Left hand's down, arm opens up. Actively using the upper back for that twist. And back into the center. Soft bend into that knee. Inhale up. Hands to heart center and get your next twist. Right elbow on top of that knee. Press the hands into each other. Draw that navel in again, really pressing down into that right heel. And go ahead, release with a nice big exhale. And we're going to transition into that warrior 2. Soft bend into that left knee, right toes point at a 45. Interlace those fingers and rinse out the shoulders, humble warrior here. Upper body is nice and relaxed. So I'm just turning around to face you for our next part. When you're ready, go ahead and release that bind, pull yourself back up and move into this wide-legged straddle position again. We're gonna go ahead and drop the head, the neck, and the shoulders to our fold. Inhale up for a halfway lift. Exhale, fold again. Inhale up, halfway lift, and we're going to take our shoulder stack again. On the left side, and back in towards the center. So inhale for the halfway lift, drop to the right, and drop to the left. So you're just finding a nice mobile transition. Just finding a movement to warm up these parts of the body before you find a nice long pose. So on this side, we're gonna go into a wider straddle. So you can really get the inner hips, those inner parts of the thighs. So heel to the feet out a little bit wider, just until you feel the right amount of effort. So whatever that distance looks like to you, whatever it feels like to you. Until you really get that good opening in those inner thighs. Find an area where you're not forcing yourself into the pose, you're not struggling, stressed out, but it's not so easy that you're getting bored. That edge where you have to breathe through the pose using the inhale to keep yourself present, and the exhale to release and soften deeper into the pose. So every exhale, you're releasing tension, not only in the body, but also in the mind. We're using this time, remember, to reset our nervous system. And we store a lot of energy and stress in the body. So this full body yoga session is really going to help work those things out. And if you're going to connect the mind to the body, it's going to help release all of that. So we're going to go ahead and get out of our wide-legged fold. So heel toes, feet in, just to your normal straddle. Go ahead here, inhale to that halfway lift. Exhale back into a fold. And walk yourself back into your downward dog. Find your transitional movement or transitional stillness. Reset that breath. So from here, we're all gonna go ahead and lower down to our bellies. Maybe you take a seal pose like I am first. And I'm just gonna go ahead and face you so you can see what we're gonna do for this next little segment for our shoulders. I'm gonna go ahead and pop up into this Sphinx pose onto your forearms. Go ahead, roll the shoulders forward and back, dropping them away from the ears as you do. We're gonna extend that left arm and bring the right arm underneath for this dragonfly. So you're putting your weight on those biceps and those shoulders to open up that scapula. So you can go to this full crisscross like I am, maybe pick up your right knee out to the side as an extra, definitely not necessary. We've done a lot with the hips and we have a little bit more with the hips. Right now we're dedicating this part of our practice to our shoulders. It's going to be heavy and passive here. Gravity's doing the work. You just need to bring the patience and the breath work. So already down this side, undo those arms, maybe reset those shoulders. And we're gonna go right into the next side. So same thing, but that left arm is gonna be underneath the right arm. Find your expression and then find your stillness. So in this practice, anytime you have a distracting thought come into your mind, remind yourself that there's time for it later. Bring your awareness back into the body. Notice what you're feeling in the pose physically, and then what comes up maybe mentally or emotionally, and how we're going to work through that with our breath.
I just wanna lay here, smoke my cig, drink my wine, and think
Go ahead, undo this side. I'm gonna go ahead, bring the fingertips wider than your mat, elbows pointing up. If you can, pick up that chest, drop one shoulder down, drop the other like I am, and we're just gonna filter through a couple of these at your own pace, just rinsing out that shoulder, finding that mobility. And go lower yourself all the way down, open up the arms to a T, keeping that left arm out. We're gonna roll into our right side body, maybe planting that right foot down. We can stack the knees on top of each other, or plant both feet down with both knees up. This is to open up that right shoulder. And we'll go ahead right to the other side. Left arm is gonna be out, roll into that. I'm sorry, right arm is gonna be out. We're gonna roll into the left side of your body.
I just wanna lay here, smoke my cig, drink my wine, and think I wanna lay here until my hurting's done. I should have never let you in.
And go ahead, transition out. From here, we're gonna press in the palms of our hands back into Sphinx. And we're in Sphinx, we're gonna press this back into a puppy dog pose. So that's a lot like child's pose, but instead our hips are up high, so they're not on our heels. And we're melting and dropping that chest down with our fingertips extended far away from us. So maybe walk them a little bit further ahead here and really focus on melting that chest down as you swoop into that spine. For a little extra added stretch for the triceps, you bring the palms of the hands together and bend those elbows so the thumbs are touching the back of the neck. Massage your forehead into your mat. Maybe rock the head from side to side. So you're putting pressure on that frontal lobe. It's going to release some stress and tension. So we'll go ahead and transition out of your pose into tabletop. From tabletop, we're going to thread our right leg through. We're going to get set up for lizard pose. So you want that right foot on the outside of the hands. And then from there, you're going to lower those arms down. Maybe you're on your forearms, maybe you're extending your arms out in front of you. Again, we're gonna decide how low we want the upper body to go until we feel the right amount of effort, until we feel the right amount of stretch. Choose your pose, and then rest. Slowly press in the palms of your hands. I'm gonna go ahead and plant that left hand down. Go into the outside edge of that right foot. So the bottom of that right foot's pointing up, and take a twist. Keep the hips drop below. Press that right knee away from you. Open up the hips even more. So we have that as an option in our hinge lizard. If you like to, you can take a twisted lizard. That's gonna be bending that left knee, bringing that left heel in closer towards your hips. And that's going to intensify the pose quite a bit. Go ahead, slowly release whatever expression you had. You're going to heel to that right foot, to the left side. Get set up for your pigeon pose. So I'll give a couple options for this pose. You want your hips square before putting those arms down as you fold forward. I have a little injury to my knee, so I will probably do a different version of pigeon. So if this pigeon, you have really tight hips and it's just not going to work for you, I'll show you a couple different options. If you're in pigeon, just stay right there, ignore my voice. You can just take a cross-legged seated fold with that target hip leg in front. Take a fold. You can even take that target hip leg and stack it on top of the other and fold. Take a figure four. We're going to take a deer pose and fold forward. So again, finding stillness, which can be the most tricky part in these poses. stillness in the mind. As our bodies get stiller, mind begins to race. Just take this as a practice to quiet down those thoughts. Maybe notice them first, and then return into your body, into the present moment. Maybe bring it into a 4-second inhale and a 5-second exhale. So we'll go ahead slowly press out of our hip opening position by pressing the palms of the hands and pressing it all the way back into our downward dog pose. You can find a nice transitional movement. Open up that side if you need to. Reset. We'll go ahead and send that left leg in front and get into our lizard pose here. So that, again, that left knee is going to be outside of our arms, and lower and hinge down to what your expression is. Really doing a lot of good work here for our body, for our hips. So just stay with it. The benefit far exceeds the challenge. Also in resetting our nervous system and connecting that mind to the body. So we're going to go ahead and slowly press up out and exchange this into your hinged lizard, opening up that left knee away from you, keeping the hips dropped down. So we might want to pick up our hips here, try to keep them as pressed down to the floor as possible. And again here, if you did on the other side, your full twisted lizard, go ahead, bring that right foot up for that challenge. If that's in your practice today. Good, so you release this side and transition it into your pigeon pose. Try to keep this expression equal to what we did on the other side. Taking those full body scans, releasing tension where we're holding tension, becoming as passive as possible. So I repeat myself a lot, but that's just because we need reminders quite a bit. Especially when we're practicing, and this is our practice. So what we learn in our practice, we can apply outside. We can apply to outside of our practice. So maybe in a time where we feel like we don't have a lot of control or things are a little bit uncomfortable. Remember in our practice when we're in maybe an uncomfortable pose that's demanding, but we're able to control it and actually bring softness to it by using our breath and actually changing our mindset. We can bring this kind of muscle memory into other aspects of our lives. So this is the best place to practice that because we're in a completely safe and completely controlled environment. Just reassure those pathways and those connections in your brain. Right here as we're in this hip opening pose. So we're already out of our pigeon pose. Pressing those hands and find your transition, this time sitting down into the hips. So we're going to extend those legs straight out in front of us. and bring yourselves into that forward-legged fold. So we did this at the beginning of our practice when we were very fresh. So see how this pose maybe has changed by the end of our practice. See if you can find a little bit more depth. Just noticing the difference, breathing into those hamstrings, dropping a thought as you drop the head here. And very good. We're going to slowly press ourselves up out of our forward fold. And from here, swing our legs behind us, bring the toes to touch and the knees out wide into our saddle pose, which again we did at the beginning of our practice. But now we're going to move this into a fuller expression. Whatever that is to you, so maybe just sitting on those heels is plenty for you, or maybe you can walk your hands further back like I am. If you need a little bit more, you can drop down to those forearms, or if you have it, you can drop all the way down to those shoulder blades. So we did a lot of folds in our practice, so this is a good kind of opposite pose of what we've been doing to open up that anterior. Just gonna find that right amount of effort for you in your pose. You can find stillness, but not boredom. And they're able to comfortably be in your own body through the pose. Remembering to use that inhale to bring in a full body scan from the crown of the head all the way through the feet. And an exhale to release tension or to let go of anything that isn't serving you in your practice that might just be a distraction. Very slowly press yourself up out of your pose. Nice slow transition. That is a pretty deep, intense pose. And find your way onto your seat. Make any transitional movement you may need to here. We're going to get into one last very great and very deep hip opening pose, and that's our frog. So if you have your blanket, you can roll up the sides. This is just to add some cushioning for your knees, as you're going to be on the inside of those knees. So once you have those, you're going to open up the legs out to the side to the widest saddle you can. Shins are parallel to the short edges of your mat, and my feet are flexed so that my ankle and my foot are forming a 90 degree to protect the knee. So once you have that established, you're gonna walk the body forward into a fold. The more you can press the hips back into the heels, the more you're gonna feel this in the groin and in the inner hips. So take a moment to find your pose and then settle into it. So remembering a lot of the keys and the tools that we use through our practice in these long poses. Whole body scans, and the exhales releasing tension. Maybe taking this time to bring in any kind of mantra you might have or meditation. Any kind of nervous system reset tools that you might have. Go ahead and employ that here. So maybe a few more seconds. 4-second inhale, 5-second exhale. Very good. We'll slowly transition out of our frog pose any way that you need to or can. Take your transitional movements. That might be hugging the knees together. Anything like that here as we close our practice that you might need to do or take. Just going to drop the knees to the right and to the left. Take a double stack twist here. Switching to the other side. And I'm just going to put a pillow on my low back, my tailbone, just to kind of create a little arc. You can too as you move into your final resting pose. Staying here for a few moments.